Hi, this is Erin Dunn. I am about to start a debrief meeting over the grand opening of the Old Town Ink Lab in Eureka, California, which was my special events project. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and you're welcome to join us. Who we have here today, we have Christy Patterson. She's the executive director of Old Town Ink Lab, and Ross Rowley, who was a volunteer that night, helping with various different things throughout the process. So we're going to go ahead and start. Welcome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's so exciting. I wanted to let you know some of the things that we're talking about today. We're going to talk about all the great things that went well, and a great number of things did. What we might do differently if we were to have this again in a couple of months, how the budget went, how did we fare with that, follow-up, what kind of follow-up do we need to do, and next steps. How do we build on the launch of this great space? So before we start, is there anything that you all feel like we should be adding to the agenda that I can add at this time before we start?
No, I think we might chime in as we go along.
Oh, no, we
probably.
Mm-hmm, yep. So that's what this is all about. It's all about chiming in.
Okay.
So, celebration. What, in your mind, and having been there that night, what do you think went exceptionally well?
I think the turnout was spectacular. It was way more than I had imagined, which was fantastic.
Yeah, it was a great crowd. Mm-hmm. Ross, what were you thinking when you were?
Well, I was wondering. It was wonderful to see all age groups. There were all age groups, and there were all manners of different parts of societies here. There was a cross section of our community at the event, which was good to see. There were artists in training. There were just people wondering what this was all about.
Yeah, I loved the vending machine. That turned out so cute, and there were people over there working it and getting stuff out of that. I'm so glad that came together in time for the event.
I am too.
That was pretty great.
I thought that was successful.
But as with any event, you think about what kinds of things could we have done differently, or what didn't happen. I know, Christy, you and I were talking about this machine that didn't get here on time, the Resograph machine. Mm-hmm. And I know that caused a lot of stress for you because they were promising that day. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, well, I think it was just one of those things that was completely out of my control, and
you gotta let it go, right? Yeah.
Yes, and so I had really been hoping to show some demos on the Resograph machine, and that wasn't able to happen. And there aren't a lot of people who know what a Resograph machine is anymore, so without it being here, it was hard to explain.
Well, I think that I really admired you for not letting it get to you. So obviously it was stressful. You were hoping it was here, but you personally didn't let it interfere with the success of the day. And sometimes I find myself guilty of that. Like I'm dwelling on the one thing that, didn't happen. Ross, what do you think?
Well, I didn't miss it because I didn't know it wasn't here. So I wasn't going to a corner going, oh, where is it? Where's that special machine? So as a person who's just coming in and just seeing the whole thing all at once, you don't miss those things. And sure, it was a angst for you, but it meant nothing to me.
Well, that's good. Thank you.
But because there was so much, and there was just that liveliness of people in the room, filling up the room, that you kind of got into this dance around the tables, look at what's going on here and what's going on there.
But did anything stick out for you as far as what we might have done differently if we had this to do again in a couple months?
Here's what I would have done, if you want my opinion. As far as this event, in this local community, I would have invited celebrity artists, celebrity from our area, to have them here as, hey, look what we're doing. And I would say the more established artists in our community who've been doing it for 40 years, and have them sprinkled through to give it that extra panache. Mm-hmm. That's just what I would have. And how do you go about it? You'd have to invite them. and you'd have to figure out what their schedule is and so on and so forth. But that would be the only thing that I would do. It's kind of like having the mayor there for the ribbon cutting. You know, that's to me might have been a show business moment, if you know what I mean. That little thing. You're talking about your Jim McVickers and your Dwayne Flatmodes and your Rachel Schluters and those kinds of people.
I would have wanted to feature printmakers, though.
I understand.
Not just artists.
I understand, but I just off the top of my head don't know printmakers.
Yeah.
So that was the only thing that I was thinking was just art in general. And I just don't know. I don't know printmakers, except for Brenda and Libby. And that's it. So I'm just not in the world.
Yeah. Well, we had planned this opening, of course, thinking who else would have an event at 4:00 on a Friday afternoon, and what a great way to have something that people could then piggyback and go to something else. And then they opened the one-stop shop cannabis regulation office where Senator McGuire and all of the city staff were, and where the chamber was with their ribbon cutting. And I was really happy to see, though, Leslie here, one city council person here, who kind of did that. So we lost a little bit of the glitterati to another event at that same time. So, but I thought it was good. I would have had signage. You know, I regret that decision of not having made a banner with the whole logo, because I loved the look of the flyer for the grand opening. And I would have had something like that out on that railing out there, I think. And I was thinking, gosh, you know, of course, this is more of a kind of a bigger city kind of thing. Somebody with, you know, flyers, quarter sheet flyers on the sidewalk. You know, the young people kind of handing out flyers, say, "Come in and see our thing." But I think we had a really good turnout. But I just was trying to think of some other things I might have done a little bit differently. But as we look back on the event, how did our budget work out?
The budget worked out really well. As you know, we had $1,000 from the Clean Foundation, and then we had a little bit of money from a grant we got from the state of California that we could use. So most of the money went toward the catering, which was about $800, and it was fabulous and beautiful.
It was worth every penny.
Yes, and then there was another $150 for cider. And then there is probably about $200 to $300 spent on supplies.
So we came in somewhat right on.
I think right
if
about
not
on
a little
budget.
Under. Yeah.
It's amazing what the non parts of your working capital are what is necessary for a grand opening.
I know.
And you'll never do it again.
Right.
But you got to pay this one time.
Yeah, and I think the food was also kind of like a piece of art in a way.
Beautiful.
And I think the younger people who came really appreciated it, and certainly because of the time of day, the 4 to 6 o'clock, it was really important to have the food there, and the caterer did an excellent job. But it is kind of always, you go, that's such a big part of the budget, but it's a necessary part.
I could have spent that on ink.
Yeah.
Or quicker shipping for my risograph machine.
Yeah, if we'd only had a risograph machine.
I know.
So the next part on the agenda is the follow-up. So I'm not sure, I thought we could use this time, since the event was just a few days ago. What kind of follow-up do we need to be doing as far as thank you notes and phone calls, thank you phone calls? Obviously we paid some people, so that was their thanks, but
Right.
Any thoughts on that? Or I thought I would drop a note to the councilwoman who came, just to say thank you for stopping by. I know she's a neighbor here, but still, I thought that was really great. And to Libby at the Ink People, thank her for stopping.
Also, the head printmaking professor at HSU was here.
He was?
And
Fantastic. I didn't realize that.
There's your celebrity printmaker.
Yeah, she is. She's a fantastic printmaker. She was here, and a number of her students were here.
Because I was
checking it
lamenting
out.
the fact that I didn't have a chance to spend much time at HSU, Humboldt State University, and that we lost one outlet of KHSU, the public radio station, that was
Right.
shut down unexpectedly and suddenly in the beginning of April, where we had an arts interview booked, and of course counting on the listings of, since those are our listeners, and so I'm relieved to hear that, because I did not get up to Humboldt. It was spring break, and then with office hours and different things, I really struggled with that. So, oh, what a relief.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
good.
it was great. So I think it would be nice to send her a note.
Okay.
Thank her for coming.
And do we have anything that's been done on the printer? Like,
Yeah,
I mean, I
think
know we
so.
have some art there, but I
Yeah.
mean something that we could make on the printer this week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sure.
Excellent. So we'll follow up, make a list, and share that list, and determine who sends what. Okay.
that
And we
sounds
also
great.
had a guy videotaping, which was really fabulous. So we have that documented as well. So I think I'll send that person a thank you note,
That's a good idea.
and maybe just say thanks right now. Thank you, Ross.
Oh, was it me? I'm sorry, I spent most of my time at the food tray.
I loved one thing about what went well. I was thrilled to see the two reporters from the Humboldt State University newspaper. The do they still call it the Lumberjack, or just the Jack? The Lumberjack. And I know they did a follow-up interview with you.
They
and,
did, yeah.
And I sent them the release, and they're going to run it. And I think I loved that engagement on that part.
Well, and you also had advance publicity with one of the news stations.
Yeah.
Who did a day before, I believe, wasn't it a day before?
Day before.
There's also your public invitation.
And I was surprised at how many people, people talk about the newspaper being dead. I had probably, because I was the greeter at the big door, come in and say, I read about it in the paper. It always surprises me that in spite of all the poo-pooing about the life of the newspaper and the value of newspapers, how many people said that? I saw that in the newspaper.
A lot of people said that.
Yeah.
Or I saw it on the news. I was really surprised.
Yeah, we talk about your newspaper only has a 20 some odd percent, and television is down now because everybody's watching Netflix and stuff. Then who were these people?
Yeah, no, they're out there.
If that's who we're targeting, then you go, because you can't really promote on Netflix.
No.
You can't.
Right.
And we didn't have an advertising budget. I mean,
Right.
to actually have an ad somewhere would have really been, if we'd had that big $5,000 budget or something, we could have done an ad. But I was really pleased with the turnout. So
Me too.
as we kind of wrap this up, what are some final thoughts on next steps for this space, this wonderful space? How can we build on the launch of last Friday?
Well, I did collect emails from people who want to be on our email list. So I need to compile that,
Yeah.
get things ready for newsletters. But also, we just need to figure out our staffing and what hours we can have as open studio hours.
And how's that coming along? Like, what's that process like?
Well, basically, we're waiting for College of the Redwoods to end because we have so many people who are taking classes there that we're supporting. So, but once that happens, which is only in a couple of weeks, I think, then we'll have a whole changeover. Staff will need more hours, and so we'll be able to figure that out.
Okay, good. Yeah, so there's a lot of that kind of figuring out as you go along with the space.
Yeah, and so right now it's open by appointment because we don't have regular hours, and I've already had 2 calls of people who want to come work. So that's great.
That is great.
Yeah.
We'll take it, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
Ross, any final thoughts from you on the space and any surprises or any suggestions?
I would have to go with this. Signage is important, even on that night. Just the little in the window. we forget how we are blinded by signs, you know, but people need them to see where you are. That would be, to me, that was the only thing that's probably right now something that for me might be missing
sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Because I know we had talked when the ink people were here about maybe some vinyl letters that say
Across the
Old Town
window.
Ink Lab. Yeah.
Right, like
or,
you might,
or whatever it is.
like you might see over here at the spa, that style across the window. Yeah.
Yeah, that was another thing that didn't happen in
Didn't happen.
in time.
Right.
Well, and there's going to be that.
Yeah.
So, and then because of that, and then not having the vinyl sign, I think that's my biggest, kick to myself is that part. But otherwise, congratulations on your space. It's really a fantastic addition to Old Town Eureka, Humboldt County, all of it. So thank you so much for all you did to make this happen, Christy. Congratulations. It's your baby.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for all you did.
Yeah. Okay. And thank you, Ross. Thanks for being here today.